6 Georgia cops, all of them on the scene, decided it's okay for cops to call a suspect the N-word. They are now on administrative leave. I have the video. Here it is. So what you just saw were criminals. One cop decided to start using the N-word. Obviously, the other police officers are cool with that because it's culture over policy with them. And then the second officer that you saw on the camera, he literally ripped off the video recorder from the side of the home, ripped it off, thought that was the only recording device, and threw it in the bushes. Not only is he criminal, he's dumb, because just doing that does not stop the damn video that's already been recorded. Dumbass. 6 cops are now on administrative leave. The person in charge of them, you're going to really scratch your head here. West Point, Georgia. In West Point, Georgia, 6 police officers are now on administrative leave after a resident's video went viral. The incident was captured on a camera by home security footage. An officer is seen using the N-word when referring to the homeowner's son. The officer then threw her front door camera off her porch into nearby bushes. So let's go back to what's happening here. They're looking for somebody. This is the mother's home. They're at the mother's home. They're looking for somebody. Well, in the process, the cops started using the N-word, right? No objection. Nobody said, "Oh, hey, buddy, what are you doing? Why are you talking like that?" Because their culture is pro-racism. All right, so understand this. Number 2, the officer was engaged in destruction of property. That should be a criminal charge. If you or me, Rick, walked on somebody's property, decided to rip their video off or rip their camera off of the door and throw it, well, we will be charged with a crime. That's destruction of property. That's criminal trespass. In addition to that, why did the cop do it? The why is important. He did it because he thought the N-word was captured on the video. He knew his cops were being racist. So what did he do? He tried to cover it up. Once again, that's another crime. That's called obstruction of justice. I will classify this as felony obstruction of justice. Also, is tampering with evidence, because this can be used as evidence against a police officer. And it is violation of your oath of office, because you have now engaged in an activity that's adversarial to the public trust. That's what you just saw within those 30+ seconds of video I showed you. Now, are they arrested? No, none of them. They are on administrative leave. It's Ms. Madden's understanding, this is what the attorney said. It's Ms. Madden's understanding that the police were looking for her son. When she learned of that, she turned him into the police department or the sheriff's office, said attorney Wendell Major, who represents the family. Major said he's waiting to see how the situation is handled. I do have the cops' names, so let me give them to you directly. Donald Bramblett, Dylan Harmon, Zachary Habor, Sergeant William Osteen, and Detective Elizabeth Waganke are still on administrative leave over the incident. The GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, they are looking into the case. Let me say something about the GBI and how they operate in Georgia. They are not actually a prosecutorial wing of law enforcement. They are investigative only, which means they will not, do not, and cannot independently indict. What they will do is conduct an investigation and then make the investigation known, the findings known to the local prosecutor. That's typically how it works. Now, the state of Georgia can technically prosecute through the AG's office. May not happen because it's rare, but the GBI will not make a recommendation to prosecute. They never make a recommendation to prosecute. They say on record, we do not make recommendations to prosecute. Let's put up a picture of the chief of police. Well, I be damned. West Point, Georgia Police Chief Donald Britt. Now, let me say this, Chief Britt. I've done enough research to know you are a law enforcement man. You got this job because you've worked many years and you've had some controversy. Not enough for me to say you need to resign yet, but I will be very clear about my next statement. Sir, if you do not do the right thing by these cops, I would declare you to be the problem. You. You are an African-American male. These cops are obviously racist. This is a liability not only to your professional career, but to the citizens that have entrusted you with supervision of these cops. All right, Rick, thoughts here.
All right, so a few as well. The first is we have seen a history, and you could even say this started from when policing came about with the Texas Rangers, of course, that these incidents are becoming more and more paramount because of the recording devices that we have. I mean, I just, going through the last year and a half to 2 years, a few came to mind. Gene Allman, if you remember, the chief of police, I believe that was in the state of Georgia, Hamilton, Georgia, along with the patrolman John Brooks, were caught on body cam using the N-word. Montgomery County Police investigated a white female officer when a batch of officers went and, let's just say, conducted business as usual when 4 black men were getting breakfast outside of a McDonald's. The white female officer used the N-word. Very recently, Rose Valentino in Cincinnati used the N-word on her own body cam. Sergeant Chad Walker in Columbia, South Carolina, when the governor, this was pre-vaccine 2020, the governor's mandate was all bars must close at 11. He used the N-word. 3 Wilmington police officers were fired for using racial remarks. This just keeps happening over and over and over again. But the problem I have is, let's say hypothetically that these officers are fired, right? Which we would like to happen, I would have to think. The cops protect other cops where they'll feel, because as you said, it's within their own practices, that they could then potentially be hired by another police department within the state or even outside of the state. And the reason I know this is because when Breonna Taylor was killed, one of those officers was let go by the Lexington Police Department because of his own misconduct. You know who that was? Brett Hankison. This stuff happens over and over and over again. So what needs to change? Does there need to be more oversight? Frankly, there was a report in The Intercept not too long ago, maybe a year or two ago, about the infiltration of white supremacy in police departments. This is just business as usual for them, because as you saw, and even within another department, when every single Republican voted against trying to riddle out white supremacy in the military, they said no. The same thing is happening within police departments. It's tough to find a solution, but the immediate one is they should not be getting paid administrative leave, and they should not have a badge, and they should not have a gun.
Yeah, you have to think about the irony of the fact local citizens, black citizens in particular, are now paying for their own oppression because these cops are clearly racist and adversarial to them. And it's not just a word. When we post segments like this, Rick, people push back. Oh my goodness, it's just a word, people. Oh my goodness, it doesn't mean that they're racist. It's not a word, it's a sentiment. If you believe that black people are that, if you believe black folks are the N-word, that means you're going to treat them that way because it's a sentiment and not simply a word. We're gonna follow this, see exactly what happens in the conclusion.